The neon lights of Dublin's Temple Bar district flickered against rain-slicked cobblestones as Conor McGregor slouched in his favorite leather armchair, scrolling through his phone. His newest pub acquisition, the Fighting Irish, had just closed for the night, leaving him alone with his thoughts and a glass of his own proper No. 12 whiskey. The former UFC champion's eyes narrowed as he came across yet another headline about Elon Musk's latest SpaceX achievement. The billionaire had just announced plans for the first luxury hotel on the moon, set to open in 2027. Something sparked in McGregor's mind, a wild, impossible idea that grew larger with each sip of whiskey. "Computer," he barked at his AI assistant. "Show me everything about low-gravity combat training." For the next 3 hours, McGregor dove deep into research about NASA's anti-gravity chambers, space station exercise protocols, and theoretical papers on combat in zero gravity. His excitement grew with each article. By the time the sun began to rise over Dublin's spires, he had made up his mind. Without warning, McGregor went live on every social media platform simultaneously. His followers watched in real time as he paced around his pub, gesturing wildly with his characteristic swagger. "Listen up, you privileged Silicon Valley boy," he proclaimed, pointing directly at the camera. "Elon Musk, you've been parading around with your rockets and your cars, thinking you're the king of the future. But you've never faced a true warrior in combat. Earth is for amateurs. If there is a fight, it will be where gravity will not hold us back. I challenge you to meet me on the moon." The internet exploded. Within minutes, #Lunar Smackdown and #McGregor Moonmatch were trending worldwide. Sports analysts called it impossible. Scientists declared it dangerous. But the public was enthralled by the sheer audacity of the proposal. NASA's administrators were indeed thrown into panic mode. Emergency meetings were called as they realized their carefully planned lunar missions might be overshadowed by what many were calling the greatest publicity stunt in human history. But others within the agency saw an opportunity, a chance to reignite public interest in space exploration. Meanwhile, in McGregor's camp, things were already in motion. His longtime trainer, John Kavanagh, had contacted former NASA astronauts about consultation work. The UFC's Performance Institute was drawing up plans for a revolutionary low-gravity training facility. And McGregor himself had already begun negotiations with several space suit manufacturers about designing the world's first combat-ready lunar suit. But the real shock came from an unexpected quarter. As McGregor's challenge spread across the globe, a small research station in Antarctica picked up unusual signals from the moon's surface. Scientists initially dismissed it as routine interference, but upon closer inspection, they realized these weren't random energetic fluctuations, they were patterns. Patterns that seemed to be responding to the news of the proposed lunar fight. As the first part of this saga drew to a close, 3 questions dominated global conversation. Would Elon Musk accept the challenge? Could a sanctioned fight even take place on the moon? And what were those mysterious signals that seemed to be watching humanity's latest bout of competitive madness? The world held its breath, waiting for the next move in what was quickly becoming the most ambitious sporting event ever conceived. But no one, not even McGregor himself, could have predicted the chain of events his challenge would set in motion, events that would forever change humanity's relationship with space, combat sports, and perhaps even our understanding of our place in the universe. For 3 days, the world waited. Elon Musk's usually active social media accounts remained suspiciously quiet. The silence only fueled the global frenzy, with betting sites already setting odds on the potential lunar showdown. But inside SpaceX's headquarters in Hawthorne, California, a very different scene was unfolding. Musk sat in a room filled with holographic displays, surrounded by his top engineers, martial arts experts, and space flight specialists. They were running simulations of hand-to-hand combat in lunar gravity, with digital avatars bouncing around like video game characters. "Look at this trajectory analysis," said Dr. Sarachin, SpaceX's lead physicist, pointing to a complex graph. "A single punch in 1/6 gravity could send an opponent flying for meters. It's not just a fight, it's orbital mechanics." Musk's eyes gleamed with the familiar light that appeared whenever an impossible challenge presented itself. "So we're not just creating a fight," he mused. "We're inventing an entirely new sport." At 3:47 a.m. Pacific time, Musk finally responded to McGregor's challenge. But instead of a simple acceptance or rejection, he uploaded a detailed 15-page proposal titled The Lunar Combat Initiative. The document outlined plans for not just a single fight, but an entire lunar sports facility that would pioneer human combat in space. At the notorious MMA, Musk tweeted, "I accept your challenge. But let's make history. Not just one fight. Let's create the first Lunar Combat Championship. 6 months to prepare. Winner takes home the first deed to lunar property ever recognized by the UN. Let's give humanity a show they'll never forget. Hashtag Lunar Combat. The response sent shockwaves through multiple industries. Space law experts scrambled to address the legitimacy of lunar property rights. Sports organizations worldwide began lobbying for regulatory control over the proposed Lunar Sports League. Insurance companies had collective anxiety attacks. But it was the scientific community that provided the most startling development. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the lead researcher at the Antarctic station that had detected the mysterious signals, called an emergency press conference. "The signals we detected, they've changed," she announced, her voice trembling slightly. "They've organized into what we believe is a mathematical sequence. More importantly, they seem to be emanating from a previously undocumented structure on the moon's far side." Satellite imagery confirmed her claims. Hidden in the shadows of the Daedalus crater was what appeared to be a geometric formation, too regular to be natural, too old to be human-made. Meanwhile, McGregor had already begun his transformation. His Dublin gym was retrofitted with experimental gravity manipulation technology. Each morning, he trained in progressively lower gravity environments, learning to control his movements as his body weight decreased to lunar levels. The fighter's infamous trash talk took on a cosmic dimension. "I'm not just going to beat Elon Musk," he declared during a heavily watched press conference. "I'm going to establish myself as the first intergalactic combat sports champion. Mars better be ready, because after the moon, that's next." But even as McGregor boasted and Musk planned, others watched with growing concern. General Laura Martinez, newly appointed head of Space Force Operations, quietly moved several orbital defense satellites into new positions. The Chinese Space Agency announced an unrelated acceleration of their lunar base program. And in observatories around the world, astronomers noted unusual movements in the lunar dust near the Daedalus crater. As humanity prepared for its first lunar combat event, no one realized they were being evaluated. The mysterious signals continued, growing stronger with each passing day, as if something long dormant was slowly awakening, something that had been waiting for humanity to take this exact step into the stars. The stage was set for not just a fight, but a moment that would redefine human history. The only question was, would that redefinition be what anyone expected?
Tell us in the comments what part of this story impressed you the most. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next videos. See you in the world of incredible events.
3 months into their training regimens, both McGregor and Musk were about to face an unexpected twist in their cosmic rivalry. Dr. Rodriguez's team in Antarctica had finally decoded a portion of the mysterious lunar signals, and what they found would change everything. The message, once decoded, was deceptively simple: the trial approaches. Within hours of this revelation, observatories worldwide reported a phenomenon that defied explanation. The geometric structure in the Daedalus crater began to emit a soft, pulsing blue light. Spectral analysis showed energy signatures unlike anything in human scientific records. At SpaceX headquarters, Elon Musk was in the middle of a training session in his custom-built lunar gravity simulator when the news broke. His team had developed a revolutionary training suit that mimicked not just the reduced gravity, but also the resistance and limitations of a spacesuit. He was learning to throw punches that conserved oxygen and maintaining balance while carrying life support systems. "Mr. Musk," his assistant interrupted, face pale. "The Chinese Space Agency just shared some classified lunar photographs. You need to see this." The images showed that the geometric structure was not just glowing, it was transforming. What had appeared to be a simple geometric shape was unfolding like an enormous optical origami, revealing intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change even as they were photographed. Meanwhile, in Dublin, McGregor was facing his own startling development. During a late-night training session, every electronic device in his gravity-adjusted gym suddenly activated simultaneously, displaying the same message in an unknown script that matched the patterns being observed on the moon. NASA hastily convened an emergency meeting with both Musk and McGregor present via secure video link. General Martinez of the Space Force took control of the briefing. "Gentlemen," she began, "we believe your proposed combat event has triggered something. An automated system, possibly left behind by someone else. The mathematical patterns in the signals suggest this isn't just a structure, it's an arena, one that's been waiting for humanity to reach a certain level of development. McGregor, surprisingly subdued, leaned forward. "Are you saying someone built a boxing ring on the moon?" "More like a testing ground," interrupted Dr. Rodriguez, joining the call. "The patterns we're seeing suggest this facility was designed to evaluate species that achieve lunar travel capability. The combat aspect appears to be part of some sort of assessment protocol." Musk's eyes lit up with that familiar intensity. "So we're not just fighting for entertainment or sport anymore. We're humanity's representatives in some kind of cosmic evaluation." The implications were staggering. The lunar combat event had transformed from a publicity stunt into potentially humanity's first contact with evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence. The question was no longer just who would win the fight, but what the consequences of that victory or defeat might mean for the human race. Training took on a new intensity. McGregor's trademark bravado was tempered by the weight of responsibility. His social media posts, once full of bombastic threats, now spoke of human potential and unity. Musk threw himself into studying the signals, convinced that understanding the arena's creators would be as important as the combat itself. The mysterious structure continued its transformation, each new configuration revealing more complex patterns. Astronomers noted that its energy emissions were increasing, but following a precise mathematical progression that suggested a countdown of sorts. Then, exactly 2 months before the scheduled combat date, both men received identical messages on their personal devices. The text, glowing in the same ethereal blue as the lunar structure, read, "Champions of Earth, your species trial will commence as scheduled. Prepare yourselves. The galaxy is watching." The message was accompanied by a set of coordinates on the moon's surface, different from both the original planned location and the Daedalus crater site. When satellites focused on this new location, they found something that made everyone's blood run cold. An enormous arena, seemingly built from light itself, hovering just above the lunar surface. The game had changed. This was no longer just a fight between two men. It was humanity's first cosmic test. And as news of these developments spread, the world held its breath, wondering what exactly awaited their champions on the lunar surface. Launch day arrived with the weight of history bearing down on everyone involved. SpaceX's most advanced Starship stood gleaming on the launch pad at Kennedy Space Center, modified specifically for this unprecedented mission. The vessel had been christened Warrior's Dawn, a name chosen through a global poll that had attracted over 1 billion votes. The passenger manifest was small but significant. Elon Musk, Conor McGregor, a small medical team, essential SpaceX personnel, and representatives from both NASA and the United Nations. Each person aboard represented a careful diplomatic balance, as the event had evolved far beyond a simple contest between two men. In the pre-launch preparation room, McGregor sat quietly in his custom-designed flight suit, adorned with both the Irish flag and the UN emblem. Gone was the brash trash talker of months past. The gravity of the situation, or perhaps the lack of gravity they'd soon experience, had transformed him into something else, humanity's champion. "You know," he said to Musk, who was checking his own suit systems nearby, "I used to think reaching the top of the UFC was the pinnacle. Funny how the universe has a way of showing you a bigger picture." Musk nodded, his usual playful Twitter persona replaced by focused determination. "Whatever we find up there, whatever this trial really means, we're making history. Both of us. Win or lose." The launch itself was watched by an estimated 4.2 billion people worldwide. As Warrior's Dawn broke through Earth's atmosphere, something unprecedented occurred. The mysterious lunar arena, visible through the ship's advanced optical systems, pulsed with a brilliant blue light that was detected by every observatory on Earth's surface. During the 3-day journey to lunar orbit, both men maintained their physical conditioning in the ship's specially designed training module. The module could simulate various gravity conditions, allowing them to gradually adapt to lunar conditions. But it was their mental preparation that proved most challenging. Every few hours, new signals would appear on the ship's communication systems, complex mathematical equations, and geometric patterns that seemed to be some sort of preparation protocol. Dr. Rodriguez, monitoring from Earth, believed these were instructions, though for what exactly remained unclear. As they approached lunar orbit, the true scale of the alien arena became apparent. It was massive, nearly a kilometer in diameter, and appeared to be constructed entirely of energy fields and light, hovering 20 meters above the lunar surface. Its architecture defied Earth physics, with spaces that seemed to fold into themselves and patterns that moved in impossible ways. The site itself was surrounded by what appeared to be observation platforms, though no observers were visible. These platforms emitted regular pulses of light that created a dome of energy over the entire complex. As Warriors Dawn moved into position for landing, these pulses intensified. Then, 72 hours before the scheduled combat, both men received another message. The trial requires understanding. Prepare for the knowledge. That night, as the rest of the crew slept, both Musk and McGregor experienced what they would later struggle to describe as downloaded memories. They saw flashes of other worlds, other species, other trials. They glimpsed the vast network of civilizations that had faced similar tests, some passing, some failing, all contributing to an ancient system of evaluation that had been running for millions of years. The purpose of the trial became clearer. It wasn't just about combat prowess or technological achievement. It was about how a species faced challenge, how they adapted, how they maintained their essence while evolving beyond their original limitations. As Warriors Dawn began its descent toward the lunar surface, humanity's champions carried not just the hopes of their species, but a newer, deeper understanding of their place in a much larger cosmic community. The arena awaited them, its energy patterns now moving in sync with their own biorhythms, preparing for a contest that would demonstrate whether humanity was ready for what came next. The final countdown had begun. In 24 hours, the trial would commence, and Earth's future would be decided not by armies or diplomats, but by two men in an arena of light on the surface of the moon. The lunar dawn broke over the arena of light, casting long shadows across the moon's cratered surface. McGregor and Musk stood at opposite ends of the landing zone, each wearing next-generation combat spacesuits that seemed to pulse with their own inner light, a gift from their mysterious hosts. As they approached the arena, the energy field surrounding it shifted, creating an entrance that resembled a cascade of falling stars. Their suit systems registered a message: Enter, champions of Earth. The trial begins. The moment they stepped through the threshold, both men felt a change. The suits became lighter, more responsive, almost like a second skin. The arena's atmosphere adjusted to create a perfect blend of pressure and oxygen content, allowing them to move as naturally as they would on Earth, while the reduced gravity remained. But it was what they saw that took their breath away. The arena wasn't empty. In the stands that seemed to be made of crystallized light, they could see them, representations of countless species from across the galaxy, watching, evaluating, waiting. Each appeared as a shimmer of light, a suggestion of form rather than a solid presence. A voice echoed in their minds, simultaneously ancient and new. The trial is not what you believe it to be. Begin. McGregor and Musk faced each other in the center of the arena. The first exchange was tentative, a probe of jabs from McGregor, a calculated retreat from Musk. But as they moved, something strange began to happen. Each strike, each dodge, each movement left trails of light in the air, creating patterns that hung suspended around them. They were writing something with their combat, telling a story with every motion. The patterns their movements created began to interweave, forming complex mathematical equations and universal constants. Pi, the golden ratio, the fundamental frequencies of cosmic radiation. Suddenly, both men understood. This wasn't about winning or losing. It was about harmony and discord, about finding balance in chaos, about proving that humanity could adapt and understand on a cosmic scale. The combat transformed into something else, a dance, a conversation, a mathematical proof written in motion. McGregor's martial arts expertise flowed into Musk's analytical precision, creating sequences that spoke of humanity's dual nature, intuition and logic, passion and reason, heart and mind. The light beings in the stands began to pulse more intensely. The patterns created by the combat were completing something, a key, a code, a message written in the language of physics and motion. In a moment of shared understanding, both men moved in perfect synchronization, their final sequence of movements completing a complex geometric pattern in the air above them. The arena erupted in a cascade of light that shot upward, connecting with the Earth visible in the black sky above. The voice returned. The trial is complete. You have shown us something unprecedented. Most species approach this challenge as a contest. You transformed it into a collaboration. This is worthy. The light beings rose as one, their combined glow illuminating the lunar surface like a second sun. Humanity has proven itself ready. The gates are open. The network awaits. In that moment, observatories across Earth registered an unprecedented phenomenon. Hundreds of signals, similar to the one first detected in Antarctica, began broadcasting from various points in space. There were coordinates, communications protocols, and welcome messages from civilizations that had passed their own trials. Humanity had unknowingly taken its first step into a galactic community. The fight had never been about combat. It had been about proving whether humans could transcend their competitive nature when faced with a greater purpose. As McGregor and Musk stood in the fading light of the arena, they realized they had fought not against each other, but for something far greater. They had written humanity's application to the stars with their movements, and it had been accepted. The journey back to Earth was quiet, both men processing the magnitude of what had occurred. But as warriors Dawn approached home, they received one final message. Your species has much to learn, but also much to teach. We look forward to the exchange. The lunar combat event that began as a publicity stunt had become humanity's first step into a larger universe. And as news of what had really happened spread across Earth, people looked up at the moon with new eyes, knowing that it no longer marked the boundary of human achievement, but rather the beginning of humanity's next great adventure.
Tell us in the comments what part of this story impressed you the most. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next videos. See you in the world of incredible events.